The United States has a population of about 339 million, but its distribution is quite uneven. While New York City alone has more residents than the 9 least populated states combined. Over 50% of Americans reside in just 9 states, covering 21% of the country's land. Wonder why? Let's find out in today's video! Number 9. North Carolina. North Carolina, with its strong economy, affordable living, and pleasant climate, is a popular choice for relocation. Despite consistently ranking above 15th in US censuses, the state embraced urbanization later than its northern counterparts, with the majority residing in rural areas until 1990. Even today, its cities, including the largest, Charlotte, only rank 23rd among metros. So how does North Carolina, the 28th largest state, accommodate its 10.7 million residents? Unlike many southern states, North Carolina's diverse terrain historically didn't support large plantations. Instead, its mainly agrarian economy relied on small subsistence farms. Although these family farms are less densely populated than cities, they are more populated compared to most rural areas. This, coupled with the rapid industrialization of several mid-sized cities over the past 70 years, has led to a dispersed yet sizable population. Presently, North Carolina is home to 8 metro areas with over 400,000 residents each, and has never experienced a population decrease in any US census. Number 8. Georgia. Georgia and its neighbor, North Carolina, share similarities in population and size, but their development paths diverged. Established in 1733 as the last of the 13 colonies, Georgia initially had the smallest population despite being the largest in area. In 1750, Rhode Island, 50 times smaller, had 6 times as many residents. However, Georgia's decision to allow slavery the following year changed the dynamics. The state's fertile soil and favorable climate led to numerous plantations, causing a population surge from 5,200 in 1750 to over 1 million on the eve of the Civil War. After slavery's abolition in 1865, Georgia's agrarian economy, heavily dependent on slave labor, came to a halt. Atlanta, a small railroad town that had burned in 1864, seized an opportunity for growth. With 3 major railroad lines converging, Atlanta quickly rebuilt, becoming Georgia's new capital. Remaining at the forefront of transportation, it became an interstate hub and, in 1980, home to the world's busiest airport. Serving as a cultural center for the civil rights movement and hosting the 1996 Olympics fueled Atlanta's growth, making it a major global city. Presently, its metro population ranks 8th in the nation at 6.24 million, housing 57% of Georgia's 10.91 million residents. Number 7. Ohio. Ohio mirrors the United States on a smaller scale. Despite 80% of Americans residing in cities, Ohio's population is evenly distributed across numerous urban areas. It boasts 55 metro areas, each hosting over 1 million residents. 77% of Ohio's population is urban, which is spread among 3 cities with metro populations of around 2.2 million and 3 more at 800, 700, and 600,000. Although Ohio lacks a metro area among the current top 30 largest, Cincinnati and Cleveland played pivotal roles in American history. Cincinnati's strategic position on the Ohio River, a crucial east-to-west route before railroads, made it vital for travelers and goods between Pittsburgh and the Mississippi River. Transforming into a transportation hub with canals linking to Lake Erie, Cincinnati became the nation's port capital and the 5th largest city by 1850. Cleveland, emerging later, became a major manufacturing center during the Civil War. Its discovery of nearby oil made it the nation's oil capital until 1901. Rapid industrial diversification, particularly in automobile and airplane assembly lines, propelled Cleveland to the 5th largest metropolis by 1920. While these cities, akin to many in the Rust Belt, have experienced their heydays passing, and Ohio's population declining today, the state's legacy as the 3rd or 4th most populous for over a century endures. with Ohio still home to 11.76 million residents. Number 6. Illinois. Illinois might lack natural beauty, especially with 75% of its land being empty farmland and over 50% being entirely flat. Surprisingly, it's the 6th most populated state, boasting 12.58 million residents. The reason? Chicago. As the current 3rd largest US city with a metro population of 9.27 million, Chicago is home to more people than all but 10 states and makes up 75% of Illinois' population. No other state relies so heavily on a single city for its significance. Chicago's significance arises from its strategic location on the southwestern shores of Lake Michigan, positioned as the closest point between the Great Lakes and the Mississippi River watershed. In 1848, Chicago opened the first canal connecting these two, effectively linking the Atlantic Ocean with the Gulf of Mexico. Asserting itself as the nation's transportation hub, Chicago's prominence further increased when it became the railroad capital in the 1850s. Its central location, along with access to diverse natural resources, transformed Chicago into a center for meatpacking, lumber, grain, and steel. The population surged from 4,000 residents in 1840 to the 2nd most populous city in the nation by 1890. Although Chicago reached its peak in the 1960s and is currently experiencing a population decline, having positioned itself as America's 2nd city for a century, it has weathered the country's shift to suburbanization and deindustrialization better than most. Number 5. Pennsylvania. Despite being the 33rd largest state at just 46,000 square miles, Pennsylvania has a population of 12.97 million, 22 times larger than Wyoming. This is due to its central location among the 13 colonies. Philadelphia, the state's most populous city, played a vital role in hosting continental congresses, witnessing the drafting of the Declaration of Independence and Constitution, and serving as the country's capital until 1800. Industrialization, particularly in the 19th century textile manufacturing, fueled an economic and population boom, keeping Philadelphia as the 2nd largest metro until 1900. Presently, it's the 7th largest, with 6.24 million residents, representing only half of the state's population. Pennsylvania's uniqueness lies in being both East Coast and Midwest. While Philadelphia thrived as an East Coast powerhouse, the state's 2nd largest city, Pittsburgh, became the most influential Rust Belt city. By 1910, it was the world's steel capital, producing half of the nation's steel. Pittsburgh's East End neighborhood alone controlled 40% of the nation's wealth in 1900. From 1840 to 1980, Pittsburgh ranked among the nation's 10 largest metros. Additionally, Pennsylvania is home to lesser-known mid-sized cities like Allentown, Harrisburg, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and Lancaster. Despite a declining population, people are not leaving fast enough for the state to become depopulated. Number 4. New York. New York is deeply associated with America, mainly because of its city, which happens to be the nation's hub for finance, media, theater, marketing, sports, fashion, and well, even trash bags. New York City is the primary reason why New York State is densely populated. So why has New York City consistently been the largest US city? Well, besides the allure of $1 pizza, its strategic location on a vast deep water harbor, along with key waterways like the Hudson River and later the Erie Canal, created the first navigable link between the Atlantic Ocean and Great Lakes. By the 1820s, New York became the largest port and central hub in America. Smart governance, industrialization in the latter part of the 19th century, a massive wave of immigration, and subsequent cumulative causation turned New York into the epicenter of nearly every significant industry. The metro population surged from 131,000 in 1820 to 7.8 million a century later, surpassing London to become the world's largest city today at 19.56%. Although a substantial portion of its population resides in New Jersey and Connecticut, New York State also boasts other historically significant cities like Albany, Rochester, and Buffalo, each with metro populations over 900,000. While upstate New York has faced challenges in the last 60 years, and New York City's population is declining, the state maintains a nearly 7 million residents lead over Pennsylvania, positioning it as likely the fourth largest state for the foreseeable future. Now, before we get to the final three states, I want to quickly mention New Jersey and Massachusetts, the fifth and sixth smallest states by land area, collectively covering only 15,000 square miles, about 1/10 the size of Montana. However, their combined population surpasses Montana's by 15 times, with New Jersey hosting 9.26 million residents and Massachusetts with 6.98 million. In Massachusetts, Boston, the capital and largest city, comprises 70% of the population, serving as the dominant economic force for nearly 400 years. Conversely, New Jersey's high population density is not immediately apparent, lacking a single metro area with over 380,000 residents. Instead, its proximity to both New York City and Philadelphia results in numerous suburbs and satellite cities, forming some of the most densely populated areas in the country. For example, Jersey City is the second most densely populated city in the nation after New York, with its suburbs housing 2.17 million residents. The New Brunswick Lakewood division of the NYC Metro adds another 2.38 million, and Newark, with its distinct industry and amenities, is home to an additional 2.18 million. This means that nearly 34% of all New Jerseyans, or 6.7 million people, live within 35 miles of Manhattan. Number 3. Florida. Florida overtook New York as the third largest state by population a decade ago. Unlike any other state in this lineup, Florida spent most of its history with a low population due to harsh conditions such as extreme heat, humidity, and swarms of mosquitoes. Before bug control, an estimated 500 mosquitoes would land on a person per minute in southern Florida. Despite these challenges, the Great Freeze of 1894 to 1895 highlighted Florida's significance as an agricultural hub, especially in Miami where crops survived. Florida's population started to grow after World War II and the advent of affordable air conditioning. This turned Florida into a land of opportunity with a warm climate year-round, a low cost of living, and low taxes, leading to a massive influx of migrants from the Northeast and Midwest. The state also solidified its position as a beach tourism destination, and the opening of Disney World in 1971 triggered a construction boom, generating hundreds of thousands of jobs. The population surged from 1.9 million residents in 1940 to 9.7 million in 1980 and has since reached 22.24 million today. With ongoing appeal to Latin American immigrants and Northerners seeking to escape colder, more expensive states, Florida currently holds the title of the fastest growing state. Number 2. Texas. Until Alaska became a state in 1959, Texas was the largest state by total area. Its vast expanse of 268,000 square miles, along with the abundant natural resources, is the main factor behind its substantial population. After gaining statehood in 1845 and establishing its first railroads in 1850s, Texas attracted ranchers and farmers enticed by the extensive fertile soil and vast landscapes. The state quickly became the nation's cattle capital, transforming from the 7th least populated state in 1850 to the 6th most populated by 1900. However, in 1900, 83% of Texans still lived in rural areas, a contrast to the 84% residing in urban areas today. The shift began with the discovery of the world's largest oil reserves in 1901, transforming Texas' economy and making Houston the world's energy capital. Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin, the state's other major cities, also rapidly urbanized in the following decades, driven by thriving economies, a mild climate, and the rise of affordable, high-quality suburbs. While the Midwest and Northeast struggled with deindustrialization from the 1970s to the 90s, Texas thrived, becoming the third most populous state in 1980 and the second most by 2000. Currently, the population is a vast 30.3 million, and with ongoing growth, Texas is set to become the most populous state within the next 20 years. Number 1. California. California became the quickest state to join the Union, Doing so just 2 years after the 1848 gold discovery sparked the largest gold rush in US history. Since then, it has consistently been the fastest growing state, while San Francisco's strategic location and excellent deep-water harbor made it the nation's 10th largest city by 1870. The real transformative growth occurred after the discovery of oil in Los Angeles in 1892, followed by the boom in film, agriculture, and tech industries in the subsequent decades. This monumental growth propelled California to become the second most populous state by 1950 and the largest just 12 years later. Presently, 38.94 million Californians reside in the Golden State, nearly equivalent to the entire population of Canada, despite Canada's land area being 23 times larger. So, which state would you like to live in? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.